Howdy folks, and welcome back to my World of Tanks replays with the mighty Jingles. We're still on the test server and we're looking at the Tier 7 new Russian tank destroyer, the SU-101. So we're continuing to look at the Russian tank destroyer line. And just as a quick overview, we're going to open up the research tree and have a look here. And you can see that at Tier 6 you've got the SU-100. And then from then on it splits into the two lines. So you've got the guys we all know and love, the SU-152, ISU-152, Object 704, Object 268, and then you have the new fellas running parallel. Now, there's a sort of theme develops from the old tank destroyer line that's different to the new tank destroyer line, and what that theme is the old guys have got these big old derp guns. Monstrous guns. They've got the BL-10 here, you've got this 152mm howitzer there, and so on and so on. They're not slow machines, but they're not very manoeuvrable. They have horrible traverse, they don't turn very well, they're certainly not dogfighting tank destroyers. Whereas the new fellas are, they're very small, they're very low profile, they're very stealthy, they're very fast, and they turn really, really quickly. And they all have guns that are taken from existing tanks. The SU-100M1 has the gun from the T-54. The SU-101 has the gun from the IS-4, the STI, and the IS-8. The SU-122 and technically the Object 263 both have the gun from the IS-7. And I say technically the Object 263 because it's, well, technically it is, but realistically it isn't. But yeah, here if you look at Tier 7, the SU-100M, that's got the T-54's gun, the D-54 gun from the T-54, the SU-101, there you go, IS-4's gun, the 122, there you go, that's the 130mm S-70 from the IS-7, and I say that the Object 263 technically also has the IS-7's gun, because believe it or not, that is apparently the 130mm S-70A, but it really isn't. They can call it what they like. It doesn't look anything like the IS-7's gun, and the stats on it are nothing like the IS-7's gun. It's a new gun, but technically it's a variation of the IS-7's gun. So anyway, back to the SU-101. What's it like? Well, it's a tiny target. I mean, look at that, compare it to the ISU-152. Right, there you go. Bam! It's no contest. Look at the size of it, it's tiny. And its rear-mounted fighting compartment at the back here, and its front-mounted engine. Yeah, that's right, German fanboys, look, it's a Russian vehicle with a front-mounted engine. Try not to get excited. Yeah, I do like it. That gun does actually work quite well, because it's the first of the Russian heavy tank guns that actually had decent accuracy, as well as the good penetration and alpha damage. So it does make sense to put it on a tank destroyer, and it does work. But let's look at the stats. So there's a couple of curious things about the stats on this thing. 990 hit points. This is the only Tier 8 tank destroyer that has less than 1,000 health. It even has less health than the French. It's also the lightest of the Tier 8 tank destroyers at 35.55 tons, and it doesn't have the most powerful engine, but it's got a pretty powerful engine, and means it gets the best top speed, and probably I think it also gets the best acceleration. It's very, very quick. 54 kilometers per hour top speed, and by far turns the fastest, with its nearest competitor being the Jagdpanther 2 with a 30-degree traverse. This thing has a 36-degree traverse, so it's easily the most mobile and agile and manoeuvrable of any of the Tier 8 TDs, even more so than the Frenchman or the Jagdpanther 2. Armour-wise, it's interesting. It doesn't have the thickest armour, but it doesn't have the thinnest armour. But even though the armour isn't the thickest, I mean, side armour is only 75 thick, rear armour is 40 thick. Fine, it's a tank destroyer. You expect to be able to penetrate it from the sides and rear. And if you are shooting at this thing from the side, bear in mind this is where the engine is. Right? That's where you want to be shooting this thing, if at all possible. It does have these fuel tanks at the sides here, a fuel tank at the back, fuel tanks at the sides here, but beware shooting at the fighting compartment, trying to hit the fuel tanks, because you're shooting at sloped armour city here, and there's a good chance it might bounce, depending on the penetration and the calibre of your gun. But anyway, frontally, it's really interesting because it's 120mm thick there and 122mm thick here. And look at the angling, look at the slope on that. That is very, very good. Now, the lower glacis is also very well angled and a small, very low to the ground target. So at close range, you're going to want to avoid shooting at that, because the angle that you have to bring your gun down to shoot at it is just going to further increase the effective slope, and it's just going to be an automatic bounce at close range. At longer range, it's still going to be hard to hit because it's such a small target, and it's so low to the ground, it's going to be relatively easy for you to cover it up with the terrain, which basically means you've got a few limited choices shooting at this thing from the front. You can aim for that upper glacis, but good luck. 120mm thick at that angle. You can aim for the gun mantle, and the gun mantle, well, I don't have the figures, but it's definitely got a gun mantle, but it doesn't look that thick. So I really don't know what the effective thickness of the gun mantle on this thing is. That might end up being a weak spot. Don't know. It's possible, again, speaking of weak spots, that this machine gun port here, it might be a tiny little weak spot. If that's the case, I mean, it's minuscule. Good luck hitting that. But if you hit the gun mantle with high explosive and that does end up being a weak spot, that's how you're going to damage the gun, kill the gunner, possibly ammo rack it. That would be my guess. But until we see some more numbers and World of Tanks Armory does a review of this thing, I cannot say with any certainty whether or not that is the case. The only real frontal weak spot it has, other than the lower glacis, which is going to be easy to cover up, is this thing here, which I presume is where the driver sits, and that's the driver's hatch. So shooting from this side, you're going to kill the driver and hit the engine. Shoot from this side, you're going to hit the engine and then kill the driver. And certainly if you get a chance to shoot at this thing from the sides, I would definitely say that's the place where you want to go, rather than over here, because your shot goes high. Yeah, you might hit the fuel tanks, but you also might bounce. Good sloped armour on the sides there. And it's just such a tough nut to crack from the front, because it's so low profile, because it's such a small target, and because of all that sloped armour. Now, it is a very, very low profile tank. It's very low to the ground, and if you're in one of these big heavies with, like the Tiger II, for example, you might have some success shooting down into the top of the hull here, because I don't know how thick that is, but it certainly isn't going to be 120mm. So that's an idea. This little cap at the top here, that might be a weak point. I don't know. I really couldn't tell you. I do know that, for example, if you look at the Object 263, frontally, a lot of people have been trying to put shots through this thing, and that's basically a fake weak spot. You can shoot that all you like, it won't do any damage to the tank. I do not know if that is the same case. I mean, that may just be a bug on the Object 263. Possibly that is meant to be a weak spot on the top, but at the moment it isn't. That may be the case with this thing. Don't actually know. These periscopes at the top, they look like they could be weak spots, but they're absolutely tiny. Look at the size of them. If you're in face-hug range, your best bet is probably put shots through here. In fact, yeah, that is your best bet. Put shots through that. Don't bother aiming for these. That's the one to go for. But it is very, very bouncy. I've taken multiple hits from IS-3s at point-blank range that have just bounced right off this thing. And that was very gratifying, especially since I only have 990 hit points, and an IS-3 could conceivably kill me in 2 hits. So how does the thing play? Well, before we get on to that, let's just have a quick look at the equipment fit. You're going to want, now this is odd as well, and I think it's just a bug on the test server. It says medium caliber tank gun rammer. There you go, medium caliber tank gun rammer. Well, that's a 122mm heavy tank gun, so I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be a large caliber tank gun rammer, but hey. strange things happen on the test server. But you're definitely going to want a tank gun rammer of whatever caliber, because it's a heavy tank gun. It's the IS-4's gun. It does reload slightly faster on this thing than it does on the IS-4, but you're still going to want a gun rammer. 2.9 second aiming time, not great. So enhanced gun lane drive is definitely recommended for this thing. Now for your third slot, well, I've gone with the camo net, because you can't really go wrong with sneaky low profile tank destroyers and putting camo nets on them. But there are other options. You might like to go with improved ventilation, just to further improve the aiming time and the reload, as well as the acceleration, you know, all sorts of other stats. That's not a terrible idea. Coated optics or binocular telescope wouldn't be a bad idea either. And that's pretty much it. There's nothing else on here. So pretty much for your third slot, make your own mind up. Do you want camo net? Do you want binos or coated optics? Any one of those would be a decent choice. As far as crew skills go, it's a sneaky little bugger. Camo, 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 camo. That's what you want on this thing. And then as soon as your commander reaches 100%, swap the camo for Sixth Sense. And then his second skill will be camo. That works really, really well on this thing. So let's have a look at a couple of games, and I think you might be pleasantly surprised. So here's Fishing Bay with a new renderer. Very pretty indeed. And again, a little bit of luck with the matchmaking here. It's a tier 9 game, and there aren't that many tier 9s. There's only 5 of them on each team. So, you know, you really need to take advantage of this sort of game when you're on these tier 8s, because if the matchmaker can throw you into a tier 10 game on the test server, it almost always does. But look at how fast this thing is. Even going uphill, we're doing 39 kph. So here we go. There's a Chaffee. Don't think he spotted me. But we've got 2 scouts have gone over. There's the entire enemy team. Oriel CAMX seems to have driven off the road into the river up there. And there we go. We've lost all our scouts. Well, no, we still have 2 T50-2s. Speaking of T50-2s, watch this. Okay, what do we got? No shot at that Yak Panther. Oh, yes we do. Or do we? Very dodgy shot. Now, I've completely forgotten about those 2 T50-2s. That's a better shot at the Yak Panther. Oh, great, he moved. Damn it. Could have had him. Whoa! But look at the traverse speed on this thing. Okay, there's only 1 artillery in play here, so I can afford to be a little... Unbelievably, that missed both of them. And there's that limited hull traverse. Sneaky little buggers. You really don't want to stop to shoot at SU-152s while you flank on going up a hill in a T50-2. Because that's going to end about as well as you'd expect. Okay, so 4-4. This could go either way. Ooh, T29. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Come on, come on. No, not like that, not like that. Show me your hull. Thank you. Penetration. Big hit. And there's that Yak Panther. Okay. So let's see if we can help our IS-6, because he's taking some big old hits here. That'll do. Oh crap, a pattern as well. And there's that T29. They're knocked out. I'm doing the best I can, mate, but you got to work with me here. That pattern could one-shot you from here, especially if you turn your flank onto him like that. Oh, come on, come on. ISU arrives, derps the pattern in the face, and now we are winning quite comfortably. Winning 10-5. Haven't noticed any team killing going on. And of course, well, I'm going to leave that other tank destroyer. There's T-95 over there. Oh, actually, wait, he's flank onto us. Okay, yeah, I can't afford to not shoot him.
Looks like that
Good
one went
hit.
right through.
And where did he go? He's killed the IS-6 who was spotting him, and it looked like he was turning this way. So I do like the front armour on this thing, but I'm not going to put it to the test against an T-95. So I'm going to stay on the road, get a little bit of cover from the banks of the road on either side, go over the hill, come around. If that Yak Tiger, no, okay, he's dead, right, okay, now I need to go and get that T-95. So I've probably got onto his flank. And I have. Cool. Oh, ISU-152 just does what ISU-152s do. Kills him before I can get there. And now there's just us against this VK4502P. So, tier 9 heavy tank. But I've got a tier 10 tank gun. Just got to wait for the aiming time. Wait for the aiming time. Boom! There you go. Oh yeah, come on, come on. Come to daddy. Come to daddy.
Enemy armor is destroyed.
Ammo racked. Yeah, happy with that. And there's the results of that one. Not too bad at all. 32,000 credits, 1,005 XP, undoubled. And incidentally, that one also, at last, earned me the Expert Germany badge for killing every German tank in the game. I finally killed a 4502B. I've shot at them before, I've hit them before. It's the first time I've got the killing blow on one. So, hey, hurrah for me. Only it's completely irrelevant because it's on the test server. There. So, yeah, I mean, I don't want to dwell too much on the post-battle results screen. You go, hey, there you go. One of that. Yeah, Chaffee got the scout badge. Brilliant. Oh, some friendly damage here. 4502P. Looks like he got one hit on a friendly. And the T-29 looks like he did some minor collision damage to a friendly. Detailed report. Blah, 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 blah. 10 shots fired, 6 hits, all 6 penetrated, and did damage. Yep, fine. Brilliant. So, yeah, not a bad result. But let's have another one. Now, this is surprising, especially on the test server. Generally speaking, if you're rolling around in your tier 8 and 9 machines... slow it down to normal speed then. Yeah, if you're rolling around in your tier 8 and 9 machines on the test server, you usually end up in tier 10 games. So take full advantage of it whenever you're getting a match like this. So we're here on Fjord, which is looking spectacular with the new renderer. And tier 8 tank destroyer in a tier 8 game. So we should be able to do some serious good with that IS-4 gun. Now obviously it doesn't quite perform as well on a tier 8 machine as it does on the IS-4, but it's still the IS-4's gun. And there's contact. Excellent, we've got a scout going through. Okay, let's see what we can do. There we go, an IS-6 and a KV-1S.
They're hit.
That did no damage, so that was a crit. Probably knocked a module out, don't know what. Doesn't seem to have slowed him down. Now the one thing about this thing is it does have god-awful gun traverse. Absolutely horrible. And he's disappeared. And then we have to turn the hole. But he's got a friend with him. Tier 7 tank destroyer.
Penetration.
Whoa. Look at that. Look at that. More than half of his health gone. But he disappears now. Is he going to get his tracks up in time? Don't know. So, oh, KV-1S coming. Okay. Right, he's in cover, but he has no idea I'm here. Otherwise he would have shot at me on the way over. Or be shooting at me now. There's two other TDs coming up behind me, and that Lover's just popped up into view on the other side. Oh, there's the KV-1S. Okay. Lover. Easier target. And we did actually hit and damage him, even though we can't see it. And there's that SU-100. Watch this. Come on, where are you? Where are you? Don't be shy. Oh, okay, that happens later. So I'm aiming for his commander's hatch. I missed with the first one. And this Yak Panther 2 is aiming up at him, and I think he actually gets the kill. I'm pretty sure this one would have hit. Yeah, kills him just as I fire. But he's getting hammered in the side from the SU-101 and the Lurver. That's why I didn't go out there. And now he's getting pummeled, and there's an IS-3 around that corner as well. So he's going to die soon. Now, check this out.
Enemy is hit.
And he's set on fire. And he's dead. And there's an IS-3 around there, but there's that SU-100M1. So 412 health. Aim low. Shoot him in the glacis. Bang! 5 health. Damn it. Another low damage roll. Oh well. And nah. He's tucked into cover now. I ain't gonna get him, but he's got other problems. There's an AMX 5100 coming down, and he kills him. Now there's only 5 of them left. And I had, at this point, I had actually forgotten about that IS-3 around this corner. And I'm coming around here just to give some overwatch fire on these, that Super Pershing and those mediums that are down in the valley. I was going to get, you can actually get down this cliff now without taking any damage if you hook the side wall. And whoa, crap! IS-3. Right, watch this. I'm just going to pause it here, because the thing about this tank, look at it from the front. Right, it's a very, very small target, and it's all slopes and angles. Okay, and that IS-3, well, he hasn't even seen me, so you know, an equal derp moment for both of us. But he does have the BL9 gun, so he's a fully upgraded, fully equipped IS-3. Watch this.
That's gotta hurt. Track hit.
Bounce. See where he hit us? Hit us there, but at that kind of angle, that's a guaranteed bounce. So he actually hit us in the side.
Looks like that one went right through.
Just keep your front pointing towards him. Right off the gun mantle. And I ricocheted off his pike nose. And here comes that AMX. Now this guy doesn't know who to shoot at. We both fire at the same time. This time he's bounced right off that sloped upper turret, for the want of a better word, there. And he's dead. And that's it, game over. So, what's it like? Well, I like it. I mean, I like most of the vehicles in the game. It has to be a pretty shockingly bad vehicle for me to actually not like it. But this one is, it's fun. It's really fast. 54 kph on a tank destroyer. That is really, really good. The traverse speed is good. 36 degrees. It's got a cracking gun, and it's such a small target. I mean, it's tier 8. You've got to compare it to that monster. Well, don't get me wrong, I love the ISU-152 with the BL-10 gun. I absolutely adore this machine. It is a fantastic tank destroyer. This thing couldn't be more different if you tried. And not just in looks, it's the polar opposite of the ISU-152. And quite surprisingly, I found that I really, really liked it. Because, I mean, I love the ISU-152, and this thing is nothing like it. It's really fast, it turns really well, it's tiny, it's incredibly bouncy from the front. I mean, you saw me dogfighting with that IS-3, and that's not a battle I expected to win. We both sort of blundered around the corner and derped into each other. I'd completely forgotten he was there, he didn't even see me coming. And yet, I took no damage, and he died. Purely because you keep your front pointing towards him, you're close, so he can't get his gun down far enough to shoot your lower glacis, and all he can shoot at is this sloped upper glacis and a sloped front of the fighting compartment and the gun mantle. What he should have been trying to hit was this from the front, but you know, and I dare say that when this thing goes live and people get more used to playing them and more used to shooting at them, that's what people are going to be going for. But as long as you can keep the front pointer towards whatever you're dueling with, this thing's pretty damn good. Ideally, he should have blown my tracks off and then gone around me, but heat of the moment and all that, people make mistakes. This is a good machine. It's a lot of fun to play. It's very un-Russian. And I think you could probably say that about all of the new tank destroyers. You know, the SU-101, the SU-101, the SU-122-54, and the Object 263 in its own way. But we're used to Russian tank destroyers being great, big, relatively fast in a straight line, but slow-turning, lumbering beasts with massive guns, and these things are completely not that. It's not that their guns aren't good. They do have good guns. I mean, you're getting the IS-4's gun on a Tier 8 machine here. That's good. But it ain't a BL-10. Definitely ain't a BL-10. I mean, on that Fjords map, when we hit that SU-101 in the flank, if I'd been doing that in the ISU-152, it could have one-shot killed him. As it is with this thing, it took more than half his health off. And that's not a bad thing. I mean, this gun does do 440 average damage, and it fires much faster than the BL-10. And the penetration ain't bad, and it is a lot more accurate. I'd say this thing's only real weak spot is the gun traverse. It doesn't have very good gun traverse at all, but you can live with that because it's so fast and it's just so punchy. It's fun. You know, it's kind of like my Matilda Black Prince print. I've forgotten how to speak English. Kind of like my Matilda Black Prince review. This is a fun machine. It's a lot more capable than the Black Prince. I mean, it's unfair to compare the two, but you just have a really optimistic, I'm going to have a good game feeling every time this thing loads up and you see yourself on the battlefield. Because it does have the Tier 10 heavy tank gun. So even if you end up in a Tier 10 game, you can kill things with this. If you end up in a Tier 8 game, whoa, watch out. It's like throwing an IS-8 or an IS-4 in amongst a bunch of IS-3s. You know, you can predict the carnage that ensues. And as long as you can either A, remain undetected, or B, keep the front of the tank pointing towards the enemy at all times, you've got a real fighting chance in this thing. I do like it, and I would definitely recommend getting one. I think it's better in its tier than the SU-101 is, but I think I prefer the SU-122-54 out of the three. But this is certainly a good machine, and I would definitely recommend it. I think people that go down this second Russian heavy tank destroyer line are really going to have a lot of fun. There are some very, very good machines here, and they play totally differently to the existing Russian tank destroyers. So that was the SU-101 review of the new Russian Tier 8 tank destroyer with the big Tier 10 heavy tank gun. I hope you enjoyed the replays. I hope you enjoyed the video. Maybe you learned something, maybe you didn't. Take care on the battlefield, and I'll catch you next time.